Hello everybody! In this video I will show you how to make Lilo's costume from the Lilo and Stitch movie. This costume was made for my 2-year-old niece just because I thought she would make an adorable Lilo. So let me show you how I went about it. I began with the little red tube top for which I will be using red cotton fabric. For this I made 3 pattern pieces, 1 front and 2 backs since I will be putting hooks and eyes in the back. I cut out 2 pieces of fabric for each pattern piece because I will be lining my top. Put the front and back pieces together and do a straight stitch at the sides, then do the same for the lining. I added a small piece of iron-on interfacing at the ends because that's where I'll be sewing my eyes and hooks. When the interfacing is in place, put the pieces right sides together and begin sewing out one side starting half an inch away from the edge, going over the top, ending at the other side still half an inch away from the edge and leaving the bottom open. Clip away the excess at each corner point to avoid any bulking. Then attach the elastic 1 inch away from the side seams but only on the lining. We do not need to have elastic where our eyes and hooks are going to be placed. Flip it right side out and do a straight stitch about 5/8 to an inch from the edge, depending on the width of your elastic, to encase the elastic in place. Just make sure not to sew over the elastic as you do your stitch line. Now you can attach the eyes and hooks in place, doing so on the side that has the interfacing. The reason we left the bottom open was to do all of our hand stitching on the inside and keep the outside nice and clean. Then flip it inside out again and do a straight stitch but leaving an opening about 4 inches big somewhere in the middle. Now, because I did my bottom stitch before attaching the elastic, I had to hand stitch my elastic in place, which I didn't mind too much, but it would have saved me some time to have done it first. And same as before, the elastic is attached only to the lining. Don't forget to clip your corners, and then flip it right side out again. Then you can do your straight stitch to encase the elastic, same as before. After that, you can hand sew that opening closed. And Lilo's red top is done. For the skirt, I made this strip pattern to cut and fold, which kind of looks like a men's tie. I used green cotton fabric and fleece fabric, and I ended up cutting about 27 strips total. For each piece, I hemmed the edges all around by just folding in the edge and then folding over a second time to hide any raw edges and just sewing along. It is a simple process but takes a long time to get through all those pieces. Once I finally got done hemming all my cotton pieces, I put them together, one on top, one on the bottom, one on top, one on the bottom, and sewing 1 inch away from the fold line. Just make sure the pieces overlap enough for the stitch line to hold them together. Finally, just bring over one end and overlap it with the other end, just continuing the stitch line and making sure to backstitch. The last step is to put in your elastic with the help of safety pins and sew the 2 ends of the elastic together. I also made a diaper cover out of the same green cotton fabric. I have my front and back pattern pieces, and once I cut out my fabric, I will stitch and overlock the side seams and crotch seam. To do the casing for my elastic, I folded in the edge 1/4 of an inch and folded again about 3/4 of an inch. That's depending on the width of your elastic. Once that is done, we can then put our elastic through it with the help of a safety pin. Then sew the ends of the elastic together and finish by sewing the opening closed. For the leaves, I made 2 different patterns that look like this, and they will be cut on fold. Same as my skirt, I am using green cotton fabric and fleece fabric. Once I cut out my fabric, I'm going to be using anti-fray glue on all of my cotton pieces' raw edges. When it dries, I'm going to do a straight stitch along my single leaf, and for the one that looks like a maple leaf, I'm also going to do a straight stitch and then a V-shaped stitch line to cover the other 2 tips of the leaf. To put them together, you will be using the same technique we used for the skirt. So putting one on top, one on the bottom, and sewing along, and then bringing the ends together as you continue your stitch line. For the headband, I'm going to be using 4 pipe cleaners, twisting 2 of them together to make them stronger, and then putting the 2 new strands together by twisting the ends. Then put the pipe cleaner through one of the openings in the leaves and begin sliding it in. For this part, I ended up having to put some tape on the tip of the pipe cleaner to make it easier to slide in. To finish it off, just twist the 2 remaining ends together, and you can even add a little bit of tape if you feel like the wire is sticking out too much. The wrist and ankle pieces are going to be done same as the skirt, where you put in the elastic with the help of a safety pin and then sew the 2 ends of the elastic together. And that's it! You have a well-made Lilo's costume that can withstand any hula dancing. But honestly though, there is something about this costume that I find extremely adorable, even though it looks so simple. If you want to see how I made a stitch costume for this Lilo's baby sister, don't forget to subscribe.